Happy Halloween, everyone! I decided that for this recap, the only way to do it justice was by video. Plus, I wanted to experiment around with a different format than just the text recaps. As such, let's dig into Adjectiveless Spider-Man number 56, part 3 of Smoke and Mirrors. The cover is, well, just kind of meh. Nothing pops out at us, but at least it doesn't seem as busy as the last one. What is weird about it is the Jackal. The angle of the shot may be responsible for this, but he looks really bulky here as opposed to the lean, athletic Jackal who came back last issue. Plus, he's olive green now instead of the lighter green we usually see. The cover promises the triumph of the Jackal and the return of Gwen Stacy. How much you want to bet neither occurs? Like a modern Venus, she emerges from the swirling mists of a high-tech capsule. Wait, she has arms. I call foul. The image of her standing there stirs the shared memories of Spider-Man and the man called the Scarlet Spider, but they are painful memories. Isn't it nice when a bad comic reminds us of a good comic we could be reading instead? For the woman standing before them is Gwen Stacy, and they both know that Gwen is dead. Or is she? I mean, it's not like the Jackal has already lied to us about other crap. Honestly, I don't get how anyone could have bought into this, be they Spider-Man or fans. Right as she comes out, she asks, "Spider-Man? Peter? What's happened to me?" Gwen never found out Peter was Spider-Man. Never! The clone of Gwen Stacy found out later, but not the original. That's a warning sign right there. Next, if Gwen Stacy never died, then what the hell was Warren's motivation for becoming the Jackal in the first place? Furthermore, the sheer gall necessary to undo the death of Gwen Stacy and the Green Goblin is just so astronomically... Let's just move on. The Jackal has Jack go get some clothes for Gwen, and the two Spider-Men are still flabbergasted. Boys, shall we avert our eyes while our beloved Gwen dresses? Oh, boys, I say boys! No. We never got to sleep with Gwen Stacy when she was alive, so we're gonna look for as long as we can, damn it! Spidey launches himself at the Jackal, having yet another heroic spaz attack, and saying what we all figured. Gwen Stacy died, and this is all a lie. Fake Gwen consoles him, calling him Peter once again. For crying out loud, I thought Spidey was supposed to be intelligent. The Jackal tells him, "There's a good boy, Peter. Do go talk with your dear, sweet Gwen. And I'll just watch you from here, like a creepy voyeur." Scarlet Spider grabs the constantly grinning Jackal. Did those genetic modifications include Joker gas? And says they're going to talk. At this point, we have a couple of pages of Aunt May in the hospital, but I'm skipping over them since, you know, they're actually good. The Jackal tries to convince the Scarlet Spider that a life with Gwen or Mary Jane, or any woman of his choice, could have been his. During this, Jack keeps interrupting the Jackal so we can learn more about the clone degeneration, but the Jackal just smacks him away. If one annoying character is beating up another annoying character, should I be happy? Not Gwen keeps on yakking about how she's the real Gwen, and Spidey's all, "No, I'm over that and all." And once again, Spidey decides to flip out and start smashing computers. No, not again, not again! Not another heroic spaz attack! It's not funny anymore! The Jackal talks to Ben about how he only has himself to blame about all the events in their lives. I was a pathetic man, searching for power, for love. Well, you certainly were pathetic, I'll give you that. He also starts referring to Ben as his son, and that it was all a game to him. With the mind control and the cloning, and all this serves to remind me of is that the Jackal's plans make no damn sense. Even if we accept the idea that the Jackal who died in the old Clone Saga was just another clone, and that the real Jackal has been manipulating all these events for years, it still leaves a lingering question. Why? Seriously, he never offers an explanation for all this. The Jackal is just some mustache-twirling villain, and he'd be better off just tying the clone of Gwen Stacy to some railroad tracks. That would at least have some plausible sense than this nonsense. But wait, we're in for another shock. The Jackal leans in close to Ben and says he'll finally tell him the truth. Yes, Ben, or should I call you Peter? You are the real one. So then we get a page of the Jackal trying to fill in all the plot holes of this crap, like how he made Spidey think Ben was dead, implanting memories to make Ben think he was a clone. Again, what was the point of it? And then says he's offering Peter's life back to him. We get more pointless shots of Kane looking down at the entire thing, wanting to join in on the action, but something keeping him from doing so. We see that Scryer is standing even farther up from him, implying that he's somehow responsible for keeping Kane from doing anything. And the point of this page is... Meanwhile, in the less interesting but actual plot of the story, the Jackal goads Ben on into trying to kill Spider-Man so he can take back his life. Jack once again tries to bring up the clone degeneration, but Jackal's had enough and not only backhands Jack, but then for some reason attacks Scarlet Spider as well. The man must have bipolar disorder or something, considering his sudden heel changes. Jack, where are you? Get over here! Assist me! Hey, you're the one who keeps telling him to go away, you asshole. Make up your mind already. In what might possibly be the most disturbing part of this comic, Jack suddenly leaps onto Scarlet's head and wraps his body around it. Dear God, comic! What new spore of madness have you released upon the world this time? Following that disturbing sequence, we learn that the Jackal implanted Ben with mental implants that prevent him from attacking his creator. However, such implants are apparently not in Spidey since he decks a Jackal, having gotten over his apparent hate of computers. The Jackal decides to lay a new bombshell on us. He was lying before about Ben being the real one. Peter is in fact the one original Spider-Man. Everything else is just smoke and mirrors. And we have a title, ladies and gentlemen. Not that it had any real relevance to the plot, though. Scarlet Spider rightfully asks why he lied, and the Jackal's response is, "For fun? I've got to learn to program a sense of humor into the next batch." Somebody ought to program a sense of humor into this comic. See, Ben, this is how a real man acts. Peter knows how to deal with our type. A quick kill and then off to the smokestacks for us. Isn't that how it goes, Petey? Oh, sure, bring that up in front of the clone. Spider-Man, once again growing pissy, knocks the Jackal into more machinery and brings up another plot hole they felt needed to be resolved here. That the Jackal never actually created any clones, but it was some virus that altered their appearances. I know, it's comic books, okay? It all happened in a crossover event several years ago called the Evolutionary War. The villain, a man called the High Evolutionary, saw the Gwen Stacy clone and revealed that Miles Warren hadn't in fact cloned anyone, that it was a virus that changed her body around, and that the Jackal had planted false memories in the poor woman named Joyce Delaney.
This is starting to sound like a bad comic book plot.
Why'd they do that? I don't know exactly. They probably just didn't want the Gwen Stacy clone still running around, but didn't want to kill her. The really interesting thing is that it was done by Jerry Conway, the same guy who did the original Clone Saga in the 1970s. So how do they sweep this particular continuity flaw under the rug? Well, they don't. All the Jackal does is say, "Exactly what purpose would telling the truth to you have served the High Evolutionary? Interesting. Can't think of a thing, can you? Me neither." I think it was later explained that the High Evolutionary was jealous of him or some crap like that. Anyway, the Jackal once again confirms that Peter is the real deal, the original Spider-Man, and that she should have the life you've always deserved, always wanted. Aw, isn't that sweet? Why is no one punching the Jackal and shipping him off to the authorities? Spidey goes over to Gwen and reiterates that he knows it's not really her, and that even if she was, he moved on with his life, and she hugs him while he just stands there, looking kind of like that one Rob Liefeld-drawn Captain America with the inflated chest. However, amidst Gwen's tears, veins start appearing across her skin. Oh my God! But that only happened to the other clone, the Guardian. But then that would mean that this Gwen Stacy has... And faster than you can say, "Oh, what a world, what a world!" the clone Gwen Stacy melts away. I wish I was a clone right now. The two look down at the puddle of goo that was once the clone before leaping at the Jackal to attack, Spidey shouting, "Why?" with huge letters as if this was the most horrible thing in the world. Okay, this has long since stopped being an heroic spaz attack and is now going into an all-out heroic temper tantrum. Anyway, what's the Jackal's answer? Smoke and mirrors, when will the truth be told? Well, if we expect you to give the answers, no wonder this saga took another 2 years to finish. Scarlet Spider kicks him in the face, so much for that whole mental implant thing, while Spidey hits him in the stomach, forcing the Jackal to say he's ready to tell them the truth finally. The truth, my boys, is neither of you is the real one! What? Oh, right. And by the way, he does this while literally stepping into a mirror. I guess he's gonna go see the Southern Oracle and save Fantasia now or something? He says that they're both clones and that the facility is about to explode. The two pound away at the mirror, but they can't get through. He tells them that the real Peter Parker is still somewhere and that they'd better get to looking for him. Jack, however, looking down at the gooey remains of Gwen Stacy, worries that that's going to be his fate. Being useful for a change, he tells them that they won't be able to get through the mirror. Maybe you two should have tried to stop him before you spent all your time listening to his babbling, but that they could get through the main door if they both work together. Jack gets pulled into the mirror just before the facility explodes, sending the Spider-Men flipping out. By the way, in case you're wondering, no, we never get an explanation for how exactly the facility decided just that moment to start blowing up, though I expect it has something to do with the Spidey's earlier assaults. The two agree that it may be possible for them to come up with a way to stop the clone degeneration thing, but that they'd have to be certain which of them is the clone. Scarlet suggests that it'd be easier for them to just keep on believing what they believed before the whole mess started. Spider-Man is reluctant to do so since they can't trust anything about themselves anymore, but Scarlet Spider just says he'll get used to it. Well, thanks, comic. It's good to know that this three-parter resolved nothing and didn't advance the ongoing plot any further. Thanks for that waste of paper. Well, the last page has Kane watching again. And guess what Scryer is doing? Watching Kane. This is the equivalent of a scene where all we see is somebody watching a TV screen. Back inside the remains of the lab, though, rests a pod. And within the pod... Well, what rests within the pod? Is it pod people? Is it Jesus? Is Jesus in the pod? Tell us! Personally, I think it's more of the Jackal's homemade butter. Anyway, what we get out of this comic is the first sign that the entire premise of the Clone Saga was starting to slip under its own weight. The storyline did nothing beyond resurrecting the Jackal, but instead of resurrecting one of Spidey's villains, what we got instead was some bizarre mixture of the Joker, Dennis Miller, and Carrot Top. This comic sucks, so instead of reading it, watch a horror movie and have a happy Halloween. Spectacular!